All right, what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be reacting to some TikToks. As to what we're going to be reacting to specifically, I don't know. Anyways, let's get right into it.
Girl DM'd me and said she wanted to share her story about growing up in the Appalachian foothills in Kentucky and why you should never whistle at night. I'll be honest, I don't know much about Appalachian lore as I didn't grow up in Kentucky, but I asked my husband, whose family is from Kentucky. I said, were you ever told not to whistle at night? And he said, I was taught never to whistle at all. This is Jane's story. That is her real name, but she didn't want to be tagged. Jane started her email by saying that where she grew up in Kentucky, stories weren't just stories. They were lessons and they were warnings passed down from generation to generation. Jane grew up in a small 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house with her mother and her grandmother. So Jane grows up, she goes off to college. Her mother had since fell in love with and married a man who lived in the suburbs of Louisville. Only her grandmother is left living in this house. And Jane doesn't go back very often. There's not a lot for her there. And at this point in her life, she views the place where she grew up just as a small mountain town where a lot of old people live who still believe in magic and folklore. But Jane's modern. She's a millennial. She has a smartphone. She watches The Bachelorette. The world that she lives in is bigger and more vibrant than the dusty old stories that her grandmother clung to.
Dusty old
her
stories.
Lessons are ingrained in her. She was raised that way. So anytime she hears somebody whistle, especially after dark, she kind of thinks to herself, you're not supposed to do that. But of course, she never says anything. She doesn't want to be weird. When she's a junior in college, she's going back to her grandmother's house for Christmas. Her mother and her mother's new husband are also going to be there. She drives a day early to go stay with her grandmother. Her grandmother is older. She's getting sick. Jane doesn't know how much time she's going to have left with her. Before she gets to the house, she stops at the general store in the last town to get a Red Bull and some snacks before taking the long, twisty road to her grandmother's house. She pulls up the long driveway, parks her car, and as she gets out, for some reason, she's just struck with the urge to whistle. She says she doesn't know what it was. Something about being there just gave her the urge. The sun was about set, but it wasn't completely dark, and she lets out this long, high-pitched whistle. She says she stopped and looked around because she half expected something to happen, but nothing did. Sitting there for about an hour, and there's a break in conversation when Jane notices something is off. She says there was no wind, the air was completely still. Keep in mind, it's December, but it's a relatively warm night in December. All the trees are barren, no leaves, nothing moving, complete stillness. And then they hear a whistle in the woods. And it's Jane's whistle. The same long, high-pitched whistle that Jane had whistled earlier. And her grandmother grabs a chair, her knuckles going white, and she stands up and she says, "Did you whistle at night?" And Jane starts stammering because this actually scares her. And she's like, well, I did when I got here, but it wasn't quite dark and I didn't think anything was going to happen. Grandmother's like, we have to go inside right now. The two go inside where there's a fire going and they hear the whistle again, but it's closer this time. Her grandmother's sitting in the chair close to the fire and she's like, why did you do that? I told you never to whistle at night. And Jane still doesn't entirely know what's going on, so she just says, well, who is it? Who's whistling? And her grandmother just says, we don't know, but you called them and now they're here. Her grandmother reassures her that they're going to be safe as long as they stay inside when there's a pounding at the door. The pounding at the door startles Jane, so she jumps up and then she realizes that it's probably just her mother and her husband. So she goes over to answer it and her grandmother just looks at her and she says, what are you doing? And Jane says, is mom coming early? And her grandmother says, no. She tells her to come sit back down, so she does, and then it's gone. Jane says,
I have always thought, like, if I were to go to the Appalachian Mountains, which honestly I kind of do want to do, like, maybe I'll go to the Appalachians, like, with a couple of people and, do all the stuff they tell you not to do in the Appalachian Mountains. And if that is something you want to see, absolutely smash this like button, subscribe to the channel, let me know your support, and maybe we can make that happen.
The Appalachian Mountains is trending on TikTok. The whole thing is like, if you even stay in those mountains, you would either hear knocks or whistles. If you even knock or whistle back, like, you'll allow that spirit to come back into your house and fuck with you. So there's one guy, he's doing that whole thing. He went to the Appalachian Mountains for work and he's just videoing with his friends and he sees something crazy. I'll just show you the video and let's see if you see it. See if you see it.
I feel like I need to go to the doctor, but like I'm constantly just.
I've seen that video.
Oh shit. I have tried.
Oh, what the
to,
fuck? Bam. I'm surprised you caught it at first because I didn't catch it.
I'm just.
Pay attention right here.
Doctor, but like I'm constantly just like nauseous, and I don't really know why. Like I have tried to.
You saw that face?
Yeah.
And obviously people are like, this is a prank. That's a guy with a mask.
Yeah.
So the Appalachian Mountains is trending on.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I'm always hearing these stories, like, about the Appalachian Mountains and, like, how there's monsters, ghosts, aliens, whatever, just scary shit that's always happening out there. And I've always wondered if they were like true or if they were like just something that people make up.
You have to understand that when you go into the Appalachian Mountains, you are entering into another realm. And there is a set of unspoken rules that you must follow. Rule number 1, if you hear something calling your name, right, you didn't. There is nothing there. And you should not respond. Do not say hello. Do not say, who is it? Just run away. Because something is trying to gain permission. And by you acknowledging it, you are allowing it to come after you. If you hear screams in the mountains, right? You didn't. And do not go towards the direction of the screams to try and help. Because once again, something is trying to lure you. If you see people, you don't. If you hear crying, you're not hearing it. Do not respond to this at all because you are giving permission to whatever is in those woods to come after you. Now, if you are to go camping in the Appalachian Mountains, right? You have to remember, at night, you must keep a fire going at all times. And it's not for warmth, it's not for cooking, it's to keep you safe. And if you are going to camp in a tent, make sure when you go into that tent, it is sealed up. There are no holes, there are no cracks. And if you hear any kind of screaming, yelling, or anyone calling your name, do not respond. Do not go to sleep. And if something wakes you up, stay alert, and once again, do not respond. Now, it's very important when you are walking through the Appalachian Mountains, if you come across a deer carcass, do not touch it, do not stare at it, walk away, ignore it, because this is something, once again, trying to lure you into the woods. Now, if it comes to the point that something is chasing you and it gets you and there is no escape, fight as hard as you can, whether it's a person, an animal. If it's something else though, and you know what I'm talking about, well, you just let it get you, right? Because at that point, there's nothing you can do. And there's an old saying, you go into the Appalachian Mountains with 2 bullets, right? You fire the first one at something that isn't a person, that isn't an animal. And if it doesn't run away, you know what to do with the second one.
That's low-key kind of creepy. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't know why though, but seeing or hearing something like that if you bring a bullet or 2 bullets, the whole something chasing you, sounds creepy as hell, dude. Like, I still want to go to the Appalachian Mountains, like, and do like an overnight video, which I think would be really cool to do. Like, especially like, you know, talking to locals, talking to, you know, getting their reasons as to why, or if they've ever experienced something like that, you know, like. Let's see what some of these comments have to say. Let's just scroll down some random. Okay, that says, lived in East Kentucky for all of my 62 years of these 62 years. All these fears are caused by a fox, bobcat, or owls, etc. At night. They are legendary for sending chills down your spine, even if you know what it is. Okay. Been camping many times in the Appalachian Mountains for months at a time, and certain points it's like any other dense range, echoes, animals, etc. Be prepared and just trust your gut. Okay. Sounds like my first marriage. That one's funny. If you believe any of this, you have more mental issues than Joe Biden. Bro. Appalachian Mountains rules simply apply to also to jungles of Southeast Asia, including one extra condition. If you spot a beautiful plant or animal out of place, leave that thing alone. Okay. I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains. These are all good rules, especially the fire bit. Okay. Corrections from someone who lives in the Appalachian Mountains. Rule 1, don't run. They'll know they heard you. They'll know you heard. Camping, I've never kept a fire going overnight. Camping and overnight camping, and I've been fine, but I don't know. I think Appalachia is slang for Appalachian. I don't know, I'm not sure though. I've been on the Appalachian Trail many years ago. We didn't get out of the car, but my ex said it was the Adirondack Trail. I have been on both, very beautiful. Okay. In the Great North Woods of Minnesota, our rules are just the opposite. You hear something, you go see what the hell it is. Always carry your side piece. Okay, makes sense.
Identical twin sisters were pure evil. In the quiet town of Bloomsville in 1952, there were two identical twin sisters named Taylor and Dory. They seemed like ordinary, sweet girls, but behind closed doors, they were evil. One day, a new girl named Mary Jane moved into the neighborhood, and the twins grew jealous. Mary quickly...
Wait, from Spider-Man?
The twins didn't like that. One evening, they invited her to a tea party in the woods. The next day, Mary was reported missing. Weeks passed, and rumors began to swirl. The town grew suspicious, but no one could prove anything. Until one night, the twins' mother named Anaconda heard them whispering in their room.
Anaconda? Nah, this story's fake. Ain't no way this is real. Nah, that's not real.
This is the true story of the Skinwalkers. Skinwalkers are warlocks with the ability to shapeshift and become animals or people. They can not only take your appearance, but also clone your voice perfectly. The biggest Skinwalker sightings have been in Ohio and Arizona, but they are found all over the world. The preferred form of Skinwalkers is that of your pet. They take the form of your pet and enter your home and try to act like your pet to gain your trust, and then they can take your life. Watch how in this video the boy realizes that his dog is a Skinwalker.
Let me see. I'll know if she's my dog. Merlin, sit. Turn around. Turn around. Lay down. You're not my dog. My dog don't know how to do no fucking trick. The fuck? Call 911. Hey! Somebody!
This is the true story of the Skinwalkers.
That's creepy.
This is really, really weird, bro. Have you heard this? Like, there is a guy who has his dog's head grafted onto him.
Oh, what's that?
Look, so in 2013, Rodrigo Braga, a guy from Brazil, wanted to pay a special tribute to his beloved departed dog.
Okay.
So he decided to integrate the nose, ears, and other body parts of his dog into his project. For several years, internet users believed this, but it was later revealed to be an artistic elaboration done with Photoshop, right?
Okay.
Well, they were completely wrong, but before continuing, I wanted to warn you guys that more and more people have reported that their phones were being spied on by a blue...
That's stupid, bro. That's not true. Anybody who knows I've seen those videos. Obviously, it's not freaking true. It's just a scam so they can get you to press the share button for the algorithm. Let's watch this one.
This is Annalise Mitchell. A real recording from her exorcism will be played at the end, so I'm just giving you a warning right now. Annalise lived in Germany with her parents Anna and Joseph, and they were extremely religious. Anna had extreme religious practices like making her children sleep on the hardwood floor in the winter. It was her belief that others couldn't atone for their own sins, so therefore her children had to suffer on their behalf. Then, in 1968, when Annalise turned 16, she began to have her first incidents. Annalise would wake up in the middle of the night with a heavy pressure on her chest, and she couldn't breathe. She also couldn't move, and this incident would completely terrify her. Anna's parents would take her to the doctor, where she was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. A few years later, Annalise would get extremely sick with pneumonia and tuberculosis. Because of this, she had to spend weeks isolated in a sanatorium. This was a type of medical facility used before the discovery of antibiotics. When Anna got back from the sanatorium, her parents noticed that her personality had completely changed. Anna began to hear voices that would tell her she was damned to rot in hell. She would see demonic faces everywhere, and she developed an aversion to religious objects. She especially disliked crucifixes and pictures of Jesus, and she would not look at them. During this time, she kept going to the doctor, and they would give her every medication under the sun, which would quiet down the symptoms, but they would never fully go away. This is when people started to think that she was possessed. As things continued to worsen, the family finally got a priest to perform an exorcism, and at this time, her symptoms were terrible. Anna would throw herself onto her knees 400 times a day into a praying position. She would do this until she broke both of her kneecaps and ripped her tendons. She began eating the heads of birds, eating spiders, drinking her urine, and speaking in Latin to curse God. Latin is apparently the native tongue of all demons. Renz would perform a total of 67 exorcisms, each of them lasting from 1 to 4 hours. It was here that he learned that there are 6 demons possessing her. One of these demons claimed to be Lucifer himself. Now, quick warning, I've compiled the most insane clips from the exorcism, and here it is.
That's creepy as hell.
Im Namen des dreifaltigen Geistes befehle ich dir auszufahren und nicht
This is Annalise Mitchell.
That is intense, bro.
These are the scariest videos found on the internet that you shouldn't watch at night.
What the hell?
These are the scariest
That's...
videos found on the internet that...
Hell no. But yeah. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed today's video, I know it was a little creepy this time. It was a little creepy. But yeah, if you enjoyed today's video, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe, turn that notification bell on. That way you never miss a new video. Or don't. I don't care. But yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.